What is up, my bodyweight warriors? Welcome back to another training vlog. Today's session we're going to be looking at front squats, because last week we looked at deadlifts. These are two of my lower body strength goals, and then I'm either doing some middle splits or front splits, I can't actually remember. Anyway, enjoy the vlog. Full workouts in the description down below. Catch you guys in a bit. Jumping straight into today's session, I'm starting off with some mobilizations, which is how I start all of my warm-ups with, and it depends on the day, but today, starting with those thoracic mobilizations on a foam roller. Really highly recommend this if you are doing front squats, just because keeping a good open thoracic when you're doing this exercise allows you to stay more upright, allows you to drive with the elbows, and it's just essential for getting into a better position in the front squat. And then I paired this with just the standard warm-up from last week, which is these FRC quadruped hip articulations or hip circles. They're just the same as like a fire hydrant, just great for getting all of those little muscles in the hip firing, especially that glute med. Then I just jumped straight into it, and today and this week I'm focusing on volume accumulation. So what I'm doing is a lot of sets, not a huge amount of reps. I'm doing 6 sets by 3, but I am going absolutely nowhere near failure. I'm choosing a weight that I can do for 7 to 8 reps and then performing it at 3 reps. This is a technique used a lot by Olympic lifters, and it basically means you can avoid going to muscle fatigue, so there's less muscle damage, but you're working those pathways, you're greasing the groove, you're getting more efficient at the movement, which allows you to then train it more often. And because I am training legs 3 times a week at the moment, I'm trying to avoid going anywhere really close to failure. And that is basically it for the front squats. I did 6 sets of this, and then every second set, so for 3 sets total, I paired it with these natural hamstring curls, which regardless of whether you're doing weighted or bodyweight training, this is probably one of the best hamstring exercises you can perform. Just an incredible exercise, and it just works that entire posterior chain really well. The idea here is to keep the body as straight as possible and hinge at the knees only. Obviously you have to be stupidly strong to do that, so here I'm having 90 to 100 and 110 degree bend in the hips, which is fine. It's a good place to start. If you haven't tried this exercise before, highly recommend it. People like Fitness FAQs are big advocates of this exercise as well. And that is kind of the main section of the workout done. I don't like to faff around with extra exercises too much when it comes to leg training. Do the basics, do them well, you get good results. So I then moved into some loaded mobility, and I'm working specifically here the front split. So what I'm doing is a long lunge position, and I'm basically working an eccentric and going as deep as I can into a front split whilst in this loaded position. So I'm taking about 30 seconds to perform from going from that lunge position down into a front split, and that's right there you can see the big difference between left and right. So this is why I'm basically only doing 1 set of my front with my left leg forward, because I basically have that down to the ground, and I'm doing a lot more sets, double the sets on my left hand side, which is the set you're seeing now. I threw in some pulses in there again, sticking that 30 to 45 seconds, and then here you can see the difference between left and right. It's definitely closing. It was a lot worse prior to this, but still some work that needs to be done. Then it's not actually middle split day today, but I just kind of wanted to play around, as I've recently bought some ankle weights as a recommendation from Emmett Lewis, just to intensify these pissing dog exercises. And I was just trying to see kind of where my middle splits was at. So this is only the first set. I did a few reps of the pissing dog, and then basically just slid down and did some more PNF into the middle splits, trying to see how far I could go. And it was pretty good, a little bit deeper, not as deep as last time, but then again, that was the end of the 4th set. So it'd be interesting to see how the results go over the next few weeks with those middle splits. Then finishing up the workout, moved on to some prehab, again, the same as last week, sticking with those internal rotations of the bland. This one I'm really enjoying, something I know I'm weak at. And then again, moving on to the heavy slow resistance training on the push-ups. Last week I was on the 24-inch blocks. This week I'm on a 12-inch block. So slowly, progressively moving down, increasing the intensity. I managed 3 sets of 12 here quite comfortably at that slow 3-0-2 tempo. And I think probably next week I'll be onto the floor And then from there, we're going to be progressing into basic bodyweight movements and really building from the ground up. After I did that, that was paired as a tricep with some assisted support holds. So when I first did this injury, the partially torn supraspinatus, I literally couldn't hold myself in a support position on the bars. It was just too painful, and I just couldn't hold my body weight. And now I'm currently using quite a light resistance band and just doing sets of like 30 seconds and building up and getting used to that position again, building up that intensity. That is the key when it comes to overcoming these injuries. It's not trying to jump in too quickly, get overexcited. It's really about progressing slowly back to where you were beforehand. Then finishing up with kind of some more bodybuilder-esque kind of stuff, but this is basically a straight lat pull down. This is going to help for like the front lever. It's basically a machine version of the front lever when we think about the muscles involved. But specifically, I'm looking at targeting the triceps a little bit more because that's personally weak for me, and a reason why I had bad golfer's elbow. So I'm throwing in also some tricep push downs, and this is actually a movement that up until about a month ago I could not do without pain. Now I'm able to do it without pain simply because my elbows are recovered. But this exercise, this used to ruin me because I was just really weak at this exercise. So I'm going to be adding this in a lot more to strengthen and make sure that injury doesn't come back. Even though pain is not there, you still have to make sure you're doing your prehab. Then to finish up, this is the first handstand that I've done in over a month. I was just kind of testing out how the shoulder feels. Body line isn't there, not a good hold, but I'm pretty pleased that I can do this relatively pain-free. So hopefully next couple of weeks, back to normal. It's never a nice feeling when you leave the gym and it's dark, like pitch black dark outside. Winter is coming. And that was the session. I do realise that in the past 2 vlogs there hasn't been any core work, and if you're wondering, that is because I usually do core work on rest days and it's more coordination than strength. In fact, next vlog I will make sure that I show you some of the core work and the mobility stuff in more detail about what I do personally. But that being said, that is the end of the vlog. Full workouts in the description down below. While you're down there, smash that like button if you want to support the channel. Leave a comment if you have any questions. I'll do my best to reply, answer questions. But that has been it for this week, guys. Have a strong week and peace.